I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the September 2024 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. Starting off with an update from our favorite high-speed rail project, Brightline West and Siemens have selected to choose Horseheads, New York as a location to build their AP220 high-speed train sets, instead of the existing Florin, California plant or the proposed Lexington, North Carolina plant. This is likely due to the existing Florin plant having several backlogged orders for light rail and intercity rail engines and coaches, and that the future Lexington plant is likely dedicated for intercity railcar production as well. So Siemens likely wanted a specific plant that specializes in the various components of building high-speed train sets so that they could be built following the 2028 start date, as this facility will start constructing train sets in 2026, thus making it the third railcar plant owned by Siemens in the US, currently the most of any manufacturer in the country. Furthermore, a much more obvious question remains. Why did Brightline agree to build high-speed train sets in New York for intended service between California and Nevada, a clear 2,500 miles across the country, with shipping costs now being exponentially higher while being subject to several more state shipping regulations, instead of simply expanding the existing Florin plant in the same state that the service will be held in? According to a Mass Transit magazine article, this could be due to letters of request from New York politicians who recommended that New York should be considered for the location based on their extensive history with several railcar plants in the past and present. Another thing I noticed is that Brightline used an Alstom Avelia Liberty train set for months on end before Siemens was the selected builder for the HSTs, especially since the same Avelia Liberty HSTs that Amtrak will be using soon are also built in Alstom's Hornell plant in upstate New York, and less than 100 miles away from the Siemens plant in Horseheads. Speaking of Alstom, the rivaling railcar manufacturer was quick to point out that they in fact created America's first high-speed train set with the Avelia Liberty, with others claiming that the original Acela in the Northeast Corridor that it runs on is the first high-speed rail system in the US instead of Brightline West. But I would just like to state my official opinion on the matter by saying that Brightline West will be the first dedicated high-speed rail line in the US, in which it isn't shared with commuter or freight operations like the NEC, and that the AP220 is the first dedicated high-speed train set for service specifically along this type of dedicated high-speed rail corridor, with speeds of over 200 miles per hour, as the class name suggests. But despite the increased inconvenience in shipping, I'm glad to see that more progress is being made on these train sets and the project as a whole, as I am glad that my personal favorite railcar manufacturer is now working on brand new dedicated high-speed train sets in my home state for the country's first dedicated high-speed rail line operated by my personal favorite railroad, opening in under 4 years, assuming that everything schedule-wise goes according to plan. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. Stadler has released a battery hydrogen single-car hybrid named the RS0. American Solar has proposed reintroducing slip coaches for the US, in which end cars are detached from the train while in motion. China successfully tested a driverless freight train. The Capitol Trolley Museum has acquired a rare Evans Auto Railer road railer bus. The Oklahoma Railroad Museum has acquired a VL1000M, an EMD and Baldwin hybrid. Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 was featured on an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Metrolink is now selling an F59 PHI on GovDeals. An unreleased piece from Mozart was discovered in a library in Germany. 3 GE Whitecaps were featured in a Labor Day portrait by Microsoft on Labor Day. Railway H featured an MTH CSX OLS boxcar as their article thumbnail, as well as Chicken Little for a commentary. And as CEO Alan Shaw has stepped down due to workplace misconduct. Eurostar could stop service from London to Amsterdam due to infrastructure issues. China has suspended their hydrogen-powered light rail service due to low ridership. And EXO could possibly eliminate half of their commuter rail service in Montreal, namely the Condiac, Mascouche, and Mount St. Hilaire lines. The former two were featured in an episode of Fixing Your Branch Line. In regards to follow-up news, in a rare Brightline L, the City of Stuart has voted to reject a new station, the Brightline. Alstom has delivered their long-distance variants of their Extrapolis EMUs for Trent Maya, named the Patal. Munich S-Bahn EMUs are to receive a new livery. SAC-RT Light Rail has placed their Siemens S700 into service. CSX has released their Nashville, Chattanooga, and Tennessee Railroad Heritage Unit, with the engine receiving the most positive reviews from rail fans out of all the Heritage Units. And CPKC has begun testing Hydrogen Unit 1200, which is a converted AC4400CW, which is the world's first half-cal unit of sorts. In regards to stations, the Long Island Railroad is to renovate Babylon Station, ScotRail is to construct Belgrave Station, and NI Railways has just opened Belfast Grand Central Station. In other news, the MTA approved their 2025-29 capital plan, which includes $67 million in funding. Metrolink has released new schedules that drastically increase service frequencies during off-peak hours. San Diego MTS started service on their Copper Line shuttle between El Cajon and Santee, the whole 5 miles of it. Parcel shipping is being trialed on the Madrid Metro and the Strasbourg tram in France. The Wolverton Viaduct was the featured Wikipedia article for September 7th. The Minecraft movie is to be released on the 5-year channelversary of this channel. Stadler is to make flirts for local tog, as well as Eurolight engines for SPD cargo. And Zurich is to replace their bi-level Stadler EMUs with single-level flirt EMUs. BZD is to purchase Skoda EMUs, while TMH is to construct their own hydrogen-powered MU. Romanian-based Austria Vagoen wants to enter the market with their tram prototype. BEML has released the Vendée Barrette sleeper prototype. IPE and NextRail have revealed a battery-only TSI shunter, while CRRC has revealed carbon fiber hoppers. A USATC S200 is to be converted to run on oil. Ohio Central donated B-23-7 number 4092, the Aegis Steam Roundhouse. Caltrain retired their F-40s and Nippon Chariot Gallery cars. Tesmec has revealed their MOW rail cars for FS. And InnoTrans 2024 occurred in Berlin, with over 100 displays of the latest rail cars and technology in the rail industry from around the world. Link to the rest of the rail cars that attended in the description. Also, congratulations to the IWR for winning the 2024 Hay Award. Happy 160th anniversary to Teleclin. Happy 50th anniversary to Drax. Happy 40th anniversary to the Iowa Interstate Railroad. Happy 40th anniversary to Double Stack Container Trains. And happy 1st anniversary to Brightline's Orlando Airport extension. After all that, it is now time for this month's meme of the month. This month's meme of the month is RIP Caltrain F40s. And now, the top story of the September 2024 Pensyfan Periodical is Amtrak officially announces the Floridian. I'm starting to lose track of how many top stories will qualify as follow-up stories, as there was some speculation that Amtrak would merge the Capital Limited and Silver Star when both trains were not available on Amtrak's ticketing website a few months ago, but this is the first time that Amtrak themselves confirmed this fact by combining the two routes into the Floridian between Chicago and Miami starting on November 10th. Although this was at first initially believed to be done to free up superliners to help remedy equipment shortages for long-distance trains on the West Coast, it was later revealed that this is only a temporary reroute in order to free up trains at Penn Station, New York, due to maintenance work on one of the 4 East River tunnels. Likewise, it isn't exactly clear as to how temporary this rerouted service would be, especially since rider feedback could make this service change as temporary as a temporary suspension of the Sunset Limited between New Orleans and Jacksonville, which has been ongoing since 2005. From an operations standpoint, it does make the most sense to combine these two services, as they have less than an hour of waiting time between the two routes at Washington, D.C., and it would be freeing up equipment on one of Amtrak's shortest long-distance consists with a mere 3 to 4 coaches. But despite directly connecting Chicago, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh to Florida for the first time in decades, many people criticize the service for not being the most direct route between Chicago and Florida, as well as using the same name as a previous train that served several communities in the South, including Louisville and Nashville, which still haven't seen Amtrak service in decades. Although service along the original Floridian route is one of the many long-distance proposals in the FRA LD study from earlier this year. It's ironic in a sad way that in the same year that Amtrak added a new daily passenger service, namely the Borealis, they also effectively removed one by combining two services into a single train, as many rail fans are also upset that the history of the two iconic routes are being temporarily discontinued, namely the Capital Limited from the Baltimore and Ohio, and the Silver Star from the Seaboard Airline. I feel a better solution would be to simply run the engine around the train set and run the consist in reverse when traveling west, and utilize any available track space to store or split existing LD or intercity consists, and make any schedule adjustments to account for this run around as needed, or at least truncate the other remaining LD trains except for the Lakeshore Limited to Washington, D.C. for the time being, so that this not only frees up Penn Station, but also the rest of the Northeast Corridor. But nevertheless, it's interesting to technically see 2 new Amtrak routes start in a single year, as although it's not the most direct route from Chicago to Florida, its existence is pretty logical from an operations standpoint, as we just have to wait and see what the future of this new temporary reroute holds. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all of these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.